Time for the Just Baseball Show. We have news. Ryan O'Hearn, the newest member of the Pittsburgh Pirates, were also playing general manager for the LA Dodgers, the San Francisco Giants, and the Colorado Rockies. How do we make Rocktober happen in 26? I don't know if we're trying to do that, but we're trying to get them in a position to make it happen in 2028, 2029. Regardless, it's the Just Baseball Show. It's the last one before Christmas. Thank you so much for joining us. Jack McMullen, Peter Apple, who we brought to you by
BetMGM, and they have plenty of awesome promos for this upcoming NFL Christmas slate. Celebrate the NFL season with the Pro Football No Sweat Token. Place your qualifying pro football wager, and if things don't go your way, you'll get your stake back in bonus bets, because winter is for cocoa and cozy vibes, not sweating your bets. To unwrap their holiday perk, log into your existing BetMGM account to receive your Pro Football No Sweat Token. Bet $5 to up to $1,000 on a qualifying pro football matchup and attach your token. If the bet doesn't hit, you'll get your stake back in bonus bets. And since it's the season of giving, BetMGM is also sliding a pro football odds boost under your tree, perfect for adding a little extra sparkle to your favorite matchups. Remember to use code JustBaseball when you sign up on BetMGM to unlock it all. What do you think about that?
Are you a cocoa and cozy vibes guy?
I think so.
I think
cocoa
I am too.
Christmas. Yeah, hot chocolate is incredible.
Yeah, one thing that I love is the cocoa and the cozy vibes. And I think we talked about this briefly last week, but the New York Post article that said, hot chocolate is not doing wonders for your bone density and overall health. It's like, yeah, no shit, Sherlock.
Yeah,
I'm fully aware that hot chocolate is not a beneficial thing to drink and it's not vitamin packed, but that's okay. We move.
And if you're not a hot chocolate guy, if you're not a cozy person and you like sweating bets, perfect. You get a no sweat token back.
Why not?
So if you hate all of that and you want to sweat bets, it's a perfect opportunity to do so on BetMGM. Make it legendary.
Let's make it legendary. The Pittsburgh Pirates are trying to make 2026 legendary for themselves. They go ahead and ink Ryan O'Hearn, a free agent, just signed a multi-year contract with the Pittsburgh Pirates for the first time in 9 years, ladies and gentlemen. This is the first multi-year free agent contract for the Pirates in 9 years. Ryan O'Hearn, 2 years and $29 million to join the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Pirates have been waiting in these waters all offseason long. They started to really get their feet wet, and I would say they went halfway in. They went about waist high when they acquired Brandon Lowe. Brandon Lowe's owed about $11 million this year. That was in a move in a 3-team trade that sent Mike Burrows to Houston. They get Brandon Lowe. They also get Jake Mangum, and they also get Mason Montgomery back from Tampa Bay. But this is legit. We're giving money in exchange for a baseball player on the free agent market. And they go and get a 2025 All-Star in Ryan O'Hearn, who was one of the bright spots for the Baltimore Orioles in that lineup. It was a disappointing year for Baltimore, but O'Hearn was good. Ryan O'Hearn had the best year of his career. He was acquired by San Diego at the deadline alongside Ramon Laureano. And this is a move that signifies, I feel like, to Pirates fans that they are trying to compete within the Skeens window. I'm not going to say maximize because it's Ryan O'Hearn, but they are trying to compete within the Skeens window. And that's all that Pirates fans have really been asking for. Obviously, you can up your ask in the coming years, but they were just wanting some money thrown at guys that have beating hearts to help a bottom 5 offense in baseball over the last half decade. And it seems like they did that pretty successfully here.
Yeah, I tweeted out I'm genuinely fired up for this move, because not only are the Pirates adding bats, which we wanted to, and our wonderful Twitter team put this out, that 2-year, $29 million deal is the largest position player free agent contract that the Pirates have ever handed out. Let me say that again.
Yeah.
The largest for a position player that the Pirates have ever handed out. Surpasses Russell Martin's 2-year, $17 million deal in 2012. And it's the largest since Ivan Nova, who they added to the starting rotation back in 2016. The Pirates are finally opening up the wallet. And that's what we've been saying. We don't need them to sign Kyle Tucker. We don't need them to sign Cody Bellinger. Do we want them to? Of course, but we obviously know that's likely not in their DNA. They just need to add solid bats like this. They've been connected to Okamoto in Japan. My guess is that they probably are not wading in those waters anymore, because Ryan O'Hearn seems to be who they're going to go with at the first base position. I got Podcast P waving at me. What's up?
What you got, Podcast P? He's on the stage now. No, he was waving off. He was just talking about something else.
Okay, never mind. But you look at the current Pirates lineup, they still need to do more, but they have a playoff rotation. When you have Paul Skeens, when you have Mitch Keller, when you have Bubba Chandler, Braxton Ashcraft, and when Jared Jones returns, that's a really, really solid five. Add a couple more guys to the bullpen. Keep adding bats like this. Again, nobody's asking you to spend above your means, but you should be easily able to make these types of moves. In the past, they haven't even done this. I'm fired up for them.
Yeah, no, listen, it's better than what they have done over the last half decade to a decade and a half, really, in this ownership era in Pittsburgh. They have not come close to doing this kind of thing. So really happy for Pirates fans. And again, 2 years for $29 million for Ryan O'Hearn. I don't want people to think that the work is done for Pittsburgh, because you look at that lineup and it still isn't awesome, but it's intriguing enough to finish third in the NL Central. That shouldn't be the goal. The goal should be postseason berth. And the Pirates, I still think, are far off from that. They need a shortstop, and that shortstop might be Connor Griffin. They need maybe another outfielder. They need a serviceable catcher. Is it Henry Davis? They need a third baseman. Like, it was funny. I just look at their lineup and all I see is second baseman. That's it. Nick Gonzalez, Jared Triolo. All these guys are just second baseman, it seems. So we'll see how they pivot from here.
I want to go through the lineup, but I'm also realizing we're going to play Pirates GM later on in the offseason. So I don't want to do that anymore. But I'm looking at the current Pirates lineup, and I'm thinking to myself, all right, with Spencer Horwitz, Brandon Lau, Brian Reynolds, Ryan O'Hearn, O'Neal Cruz, Nick Gonzalez, and Connor Griffin. And if Joey Bart can be a serviceable catcher, that's not a bad lineup. You make one more solid move. Doesn't have to be crazy expensive. It's not the best lineup in the world, but when you have a fantastic starting rotation and a solid bullpen, in the National League Central, you can win a lot of games. And maybe you can potentially compete for a wild card. Like the Reds roster last year, it's not that much better than this, and they made the playoffs.
I will say, no, I can't say that. I was going to say, I will say the rotation was better than the Pirate rotation, but you're getting Jared Jones back and you have a full year above Bubba Chandler. So the rotation is the strong suit, and the bullpen has gotten better. They added Gregory Soto. They still have Dennis Santana. They added Mason Montgomery to the fold as well. So they are putting a foot forward to compete in a wide open middle of the National League. And one team from the middle of the National League will get in. The NL is like 4 or 5 teams deep right now.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of taking that final wild card spot, and the Pirates can enter the conversation.
But they need to add more. Like, we can't just get complacent here. We can't say, all right, Ryan O'Hearn, done with the offseason. No, we need more relievers, and we probably need one more bat. But this is a great start. Like you said, 125 OPS plus last year. He was an all-star. He hit 281, got on base at a 366 clip, put up an 800 OPS. Even if he goes back to his career norms, you're adding a 750 OPS bat back into the lineup, a 105 OPS plus guy. This is a solid get. And at 2 years, $29 million, it's actually less than I thought he was going to get this offseason. So again, all around good move from Pittsburgh.
And a continuation of what he was doing. I want to make that very clear. Ryan O'Hearn, this was not a one-hit wonder type season for him. No. He's been really good as a slightly more than part-time player at points in his career. Spent parts of 5 years with Kansas City. It was a 683 OPS. It was not awesome. 219 sub 300 OBP, and again, 683 OPS. But once he got dealt to Baltimore, from 23 to 25, including his time with San Diego, this guy was worth 5.5 BWAR. He hit 277 with a 788 OPS. And in just under 400 games, he hit 46 homers and drove in north of 180. So this guy, he's been good over the last 3 years.
And I assume Okamoto might be a little bit more expensive, and it's more of a risk where you know what you're probably going to get from this guy. Anywhere from a 770 OPS to maybe an 800 OPS. He'll hit you 20 bombs. I mean, pretty damn good.
Shout
First
out to
ever.
Podcast P. Greg says, first stream watching with Podcast P. Production is immaculate. Again, Jack, Peter, and Podcast P on the Just Baseball show. That was our Ryan O'Hearn conversation. Now I want to get to our first of 3 playing GMs before we send you into Christmas. We're going to do the Dodgers, the Giants, and the Rockies, and we're going to start with the back-to-back world champs. Before we start with the LA Dodgers, I do want to tell you about our friends at Vizual Edge one final time because their biggest sale of the year concludes on New Year's Eve. Vizual Edge is an elite online sports vision training system used by Major League Baseball, minor league, college, youth baseball players around the world. They help athletes train the visual side of performance. It's something players never train, yet they rely on it every single pitch. Vizual Edge has more than 20 years of experience working with MLB clubs to identify talent in the draft. Vizual Edge tests virtually every hitter each year ahead of the MLB draft. All you got to do, start with the Edge test. It's a 15-minute online assessment measuring the 6 core visual processing skills that directly correlate with pitch recognition, with timing, with reaction speeds, plate discipline, clean decisions, and overall consistency at the plate. When these skills are weak, players can struggle. Training is customized to each user based on their assessment score. Again, the assessment is 15-minute sessions a couple of times per week, all online on your own laptop or iPad. Think of Vizual Edge as weight training for your eyes and brain. Before players go out and hit batting practice, they should be training their eyes just like you stretch before you lift. And for parents, they want better focus, more consistent performances, and something measurable. Vizual Edge gives them data, objective scoring, training that improves performance, and a direct way to help kids get better. If you want to hit better, recognize pitches faster, and make more confident decisions at the plate, Vizual Edge is the place to start. Again, their holiday sale concludes on New Year's Eve. It's the biggest sale of the year. 55% off all plans and subscriptions with code JUSTBASEBALL. All caps and one word. It is a great way to try the product if you're unsure about it, and it is a phenomenal last-minute holiday gift, folks. There's no extra hardware. There's no gimmicks, just real results proven to help your performance at the plate and on the field. Head to visualedge.com. That's visual with a Z, edge.com/sign up to get started today. Now, let's start talking about the Los Angeles Dodgers. The LA Dodgers are back-to-back World Series champs. They have the highest payroll in baseball. They just footed an $170 million tax bill. $170 million. Their tax payroll in 2025 was first by $70 million. And their moves so far. They've released Tony Gonsolin. They've non-tendered Evan Phillips. They've agreed to a 3-year, $69 million contract with Edwin Diaz. They brought Miguel Rojas back on a 1-year, $5.5 million deal. They've also claimed Michael Ciani off of waivers. And then they've added some guys to their 40-man roster. Again, they non-tendered Nick Frasso, but they brought him back on a minor league deal. They selected Ronan Kopp's contract from the minor leagues as well. So those are the notable moves for the Dodgers to this point. Their estimated 2026 tax payroll is shy of their previous mark of 417.3, well shy, but it's still criminal. 342.2. It's first by $30 million as it stands right now. What they spent in 25 would signal that they have some flexibility here. The question is, are we going to go get them Kyle Tucker? Yes or no?
No. I think that we can make the Dodgers better without spending buku bucks on these free agents. Now, does Kyle Tucker make the Dodgers better? Yes. Do other teams need Kyle Tucker a hell of a lot more? Also, yes. Right? You look at the Dodgers outfield right now, and it's, do you want to spend $350 million on Andy Page's replacement after he was an all-star in the first half?
Yeah.
Like, you have Tommy Edman in the outfield, you have Teoscar Hernandez. A move like that, it's just overkill. And there are so many other teams that need Kyle Tucker more. That could they do it? Yes. Might they? It's possible. In this episode, I do not have Kyle Tucker going to the Dodgers. I have a lot of other moves that I think are going to make Dodger fans very happy, but it doesn't include signing Cody Bellinger, and it doesn't include signing Kyle Tucker.
I do not have Cody Bellinger or Kyle Tucker joining the Dodgers either. But it was very clear in the dive that they need some outfield help. because their outfield production was suboptimal last year.
Mm-hmm.
Defensively, they ran into some serious issues with Teoscar Hernandez, but offensively, thank you, Podcast P, the Dodgers outfield was 23rd in WRC plus. Dodger outfielders had a 94 WRC plus. That was below the offensively anemic Texas Rangers outfield. That was on par with Houston, that ran into some serious issues, Baltimore, who was underwhelming, and they're sandwiched in between Houston and Baltimore and the White Sox and Cardinals. Now, granted, they were 5 points lower at 89 WRC plus compared to the Dodgers 94. But as a team, as an outfield unit, they got on base at a clip under 300. They need to get on base. They need some pop, maybe, but the outfield does clearly need to get better. No Michael Conforto moving forward is probably a good thing for the LA Dodgers, but as it stands right now, the outfield consists of Andy Pages, Teoscar Hernandez, Tommy Edman, Alex Call, and then your minor league depth is Esteury Ruiz and Michael Ciani, who they just claimed off waivers. They need to get better somewhere. How do they get better there?
So I actually didn't really address the outfield, even though I think you laid it out, eloquently.
Thanks.
The reason I don't think that they need to add outfield, or at least that it doesn't need to be on the top of their wish list, is that currently speaking, I like Tommy Edman in center, right? He's coming off one of his worst seasons where he was injured all year. The offensive production wasn't there. I expect him to bounce back. He's too good of a player not to. Just a year ago, or actually 2 years ago now, he was an NLCS MVP and one of the more important players on the Dodgers and was still a valuable factor in the playoffs. So I'm not moving off him in center field. Teoscar Hernandez, he's on the last year of his deal, again, coming off one of his worst years and looked better in the playoffs. And then in left field, or maybe it's Andy Pages in center and you move Edman to left, those three, he was a near all-star in the first half, then fell off, but he's still 25, 26 years old. And I'll never forget that leaping catch that he made in the World Series, where he's coming off the bench with cold legs after struggling throughout the playoffs offensively. And he went full bore to catch that baseball, trucking Kike Hernandez, telling the world, this is my baseball. I'm not giving up on that guy. I'm sorry. I'm just not. However, I do have a trade that improves the Dodgers infield and could also act as a security blanket in the outfield in case something goes wrong. And I think you understand the player that I think is a perfect fit for the LA Dodgers.
Yes, he's a perfect fit for plenty of other teams, but give me your pitch, and then I'm going to give you my outfield pitch.
Okay, so I would like to trade with the Cardinals for Brendan Donovan. And I think the Dodgers can give them a damn good package. So while other teams are definitely going to need Brendan Donovan, definitely have the prospects to do so, the Dodgers unfortunately have the luxury of an enormous payroll while also one of the best farm systems in baseball. So what did the Dodgers have a glut of? They have Zaire Hope, they have Josue DePaula, they have Michael Sirota, they have so many outfielders. So let's trade Eduardo Quintero, who's another one of their top prospects.
Yeah. Top 100 prospect in baseball.
Yeah, very good prospect.
Yeah.
And Zach Root, who was a end of the first round. He was the 40th overall pick in the 2025 draft. Nasty pitcher from the University of Arkansas. We saw him plenty in the College World Series throughout the college, and the Dodgers really liked him. And he's this funky lefty who could develop into a starter. And I think of all the Cardinals lefties that they like Quinn Matthews and Matthew Liberatore. I feel like he kind of fits into that sort of mold. So you get a starting pitcher that you can build around, as well as a top 100 prospect. I don't know how many other teams are beating a package like that, and maybe it would cost more, but you bring in Brendan Donovan. So at second base right now, it might be Hyesung Kim. So what you can do is basically say, all right, Brendan Donovan is playing whatever position those two battle for. So if Andy Pages is a better left fielder than Hyesung Kim is at second, you have Brendan Donovan at second. If Hyesung Kim breaks out, Brendan Donovan then moves to left. and he's just one of these solid guys. They already saw what they got with Tommy Edman coming over from the Cardinals. Brendan Donovan is even better. I think he'd be a great fit for the weaknesses currently on the Dodgers and provides a security blanket on both sides.
Brendan Donovan is a very good player. I like him a lot. You know that I've liked him for a long time, and he makes boring sexy. That's my whole thing about Brendan Donovan. Eduardo Quintero is a steep price to pay for Brendan Donovan. And let me lay out why I think it's a steep price to pay. Aram had him at the end of season update as the number 44 prospect in baseball. This is a top 50 prospect in the game. Granted, it's 2 years at a pretty low price point of Brendan Donovan. His ARB estimate is about $5.7 million this year, and he's got another year of arbitration in 2027. But this is a top 45 prospect in baseball in his age 19 season that hit 293 with a 415 OBP and a 920 OPS. Age 19 season between low A and high A, he hit 19 home runs and swiped 47 bags. This is one of the breakout prospects in all of minor league baseball. And listen, I'm all for the Dodgers moving prospects to make the big league team better, but I would be hesitant to move a guy of Quintero's caliber in an offseason for a Brendan Donovan. Like Quintero would headline for an ace. Quintero would headline for an all-star bat. Brendan Donovan's a very good player. Is he an all-star bat year in and year out? I don't think so. He's a 115 WRC plus guy year in and year out.
I think you're right if we're talking about at the deadline for an ace or an all-star bat, but most likely if those guys are being moved, they're probably rentals at the deadline. And you said it yourself with Brendan Donovan now. He has multiple years of control, and he's really, really cheap. And he fits in so wonderfully with the Dodgers. So, yes, it's a big price to pay, but also you say Donovan is a 115 WRC plus guy. He's also one of the best defensive second basemen in baseball, creating with Mookie Betts, after what he showed last season, one of the best defensive up-the-middle duos in Major League Baseball. And he's just a tough AB. He would work so well in the Dodgers lineup. He's kind of like Max Muncy in that way, where Muncy's hitting the home runs and Brendan Donovan is slapping singles. Like you add another one of those type of bats into the lineup. I agree. It's a high price to pay. But like you said earlier, so many teams are after him. I think it's going to cost a prospect like that to tip the scales to get him away from St. Louis. So you're right. It is expensive. But the reason I prefaced it earlier is that the Dodgers have 3 fantastic outfield prospects already.
Yeah.
So if one could trade a top prospect from a glut, wouldn't it be this guy who is also 19 years old? He is pretty far off. We've seen 19-year-olds have great seasons and then slide a little bit. So this isn't a perfect prospect. And because of what the Dodgers already have, I felt that would be the guy to tip the scales.
So month and a half in high A, this guy had an 820 OPS as a 19-year-old. That
he's
promise
definitely a
is
good prospect.
Insane. No,
he's
that
definitely
promise,
a good prospect, no doubt about it.
It's insane. And I will push back. I don't think you need a prospect of this caliber for Brendan Donovan. I think you might need a top 100-ish prospect, but I think you can get it done with 2 prospects outside of the top 100 instead of a top 50 prospect.
Maybe don't even include Zach Rutten. It's a straight swap.
Maybe let's bookmark this and come back to it if it's one of our 5 favorites.
We're cooking. I like it.
So I understand what you're saying about him possibly playing left or second, but why not just go get one of the best left fielders in the game that has 2 years of control left? I want to make Steven Kwan an LA Dodger.
I love that.
We talked about it at the deadline. I want to make Steven Kwan a Dodger. And at the end of the day, Brendan Donovan, his best years are a 3.2, 3.5 WAR type season. By B WAR, Kwan gave you 3.7 this past year with a 330 OBP. It was a 96 OPS plus. It was a below average year for him offensively compared to what he's done at the beginning of his career, yet he still gave you 3.7 B WAR. This is one of, if not the best defensive left fielder in the game. And he immediately slots in somewhere in your lineup. He's not hitting leadoff because Shohei is. Maybe Kwan hits second. Maybe Kwan hits 7th. I have no idea, but this is an all-star that can hit 300 and is a premier table setter that does not punch out. and plays an elite defensive left field. And for me, that fits the jigsaw puzzle a little bit better because you've got Quan as your everyday left fielder. You've got Edman and Pages splitting time in center. And then you can play the hot hand of Edman and Ha-Seong Kim at second base. And I love Tommy Edman on the dirt. I'm a huge fan of Edman as the utility guy. I don't want to make him the everyday center fielder. And Andy Pages can hold his own in center field. So I feel like the fit for Quan is a little bit better than the fit for Donovan. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. Quan is a better player than Brendan Donovan. I would love Stephen Kwan on the Dodgers. Do the Guardians want to trade Stephen Kwan? Because we've heard little blips, maybe, but he hasn't been in the rumor mill kind of at all. So I didn't really think of him, but I'm happy to hear your explanation because I love the fit.
They do want to trade him when you get Alex Freeland and Gavin Stone back. Alex Freeland is another top 100 prospect in baseball. And what do the Guardians need? They need offensive, not firepower, but they need people that can hold their own offensively.
They need good baseball players.
Yeah. And I think they need good baseball players right now and guys that are controllable. That is the Guardian model. They love guys like Alex Freeland. They always have this gluttony of like slick fielding middle infielders that don't really rake in the minor leagues, and you just push them up and it's like, okay, yeah, no, go hit at the major league level, and it just doesn't really work for them. They've found what they like at this point in Gabriel Arias and Brian Rocchio, but if I present you with the opportunity to go get Freeland to play second base for you pretty much every day, although Bazana in the fold could change things, if Freeland can hold his own at short, like, why not put him in the conversation with a Rocchio and an Arias? Why would you settle on something that could be lesser than Alex Freeland within 2 months? And then the other one is Stone. Stone's coming off of a shoulder injury, but in case you forgot just how freaking good Gavin Stone was in 2024, let me remind you, Gavin Stone, who, again, is a full go for 2026 spring training, put up 25 starts in 2024, 25 starts. He was 11-5 with a 3.53 ERA in 140 innings. And I see this 5 spot kind of open for Cleveland. It seems like the 4 and 5 is going to be this line change between Cantillo and Messick and Logan Allen, and whoever you may throw in there. There are other guys, Doug Nikhazy. Why not just have Stone be the 5 starter for them? They probably get better at the big league level. Cleveland does. They get a ton more control, and LA gets Stephen Kwan for the next 2 years.
You know what's funny? The Dodgers could do both.
They could.
I don't think they will. I like this deal better. I do. I think Stephen Kwan is a better player, and I think you're trading from MLB ready guys who might be blocked, right? If Gavin Stone comes out and is pitching well, like we all expect him to, is he the 7th guy in this rotation? Because you still have Sheehan, you still have River Ryan, you can trade from this, and Alex Freeland is blocked because you still have Max Muncy at third base, you still have Mookie Betts at shortstop. Maybe he's your second baseman next year, but of course you still have Ha-Seong Kim. What are you going to do in the outfield? Does that move Tommy Edman, to second base? So for all of those reasons, it's a good package. My one thing, and I just, if I was a Guardians fan, this is what I'd be asking you specifically, because I don't know the answer to this. Do you think Kyle Freeland can truly stick at shortstop? Because if they're going to trade Steve, what did I say?
Kyle pitches for the Rockies.
Yeah, Alex Freeland. If they were trading for Alex Freeland, I feel like they have to be pretty confident that he can stick it short. Because, of course, you have Jose Ramirez at third and you have Travis Bazana coming up at second base. Do you think he can? Would be the question to get this done. Because if he can't, I think the Guardians would have to be kind of blown away. And in terms of talent, I think this does it. But Freeland might not be quite the right fit if he can't stick it short long term.
Yeah, I think the answer would be yes. He played 70 games at short in Oklahoma City. But you also have a bunch of guys that you asked that same question about, like Arias and Rocchio, and both of them have gotten ample runway at shortstop for the Cleveland Guardians. So Did Freeland play short in the big leagues? No, because Mookie Betts was there. Did he play it all the time in Oklahoma City? Yes. So I think that Cleveland could convince themselves that, yes, Alex Freeland could be the shortstop moving
Okay.
forward.
I say we send it in. I like that better than Donovan because I think Quan is a better player. And when you lay out the trade and realizing that Stone can be traded, Alex Freeland can be traded. One more thing to stick on this. What if they say we want Dalton Rushing instead of Freeland? What do you do?
I would think about it.
Because they could certainly use a catcher as well.
They could absolutely use a catcher. The question is, how enamored are they with Bo Naylor?
I think slightly.
Slightly, but like, are you immediately uprooting Naylor's reps for rushing reps when Rushing has been disappointing at the major leagues level? Thank you, podcast. Kyle Freeland could low-key play short. Really good defensive pitcher. So good job, podcast P.
It might be a little bit too much for the Dodgers, but the Dodgers have this luxury because Dalton Rushing is blocked by Will Smith. Alex Freeland is blocked. Gavin Stone is blocked. And these are all fantastic assets. I don't know. They might ask for Rushing, and I would be curious to see if they don't think Freeland can stick it short. And they're like, well, we certainly think that Rushing could stick at catcher. Or worst case scenario, he's going to rake and he can play the outfield.
Yeah.
Maybe even replacing Stephen Kwan in left now that you traded him. It's a lot, though. Damn. Maybe could it be Rushing in a River Ryan instead?
That's the best package we've got here. But like, it's too good a package. I think Cleveland says yes right away.
Would you rather have Stone or Ryan?
I'd rather have Ryan.
I'd rather have
but
Stone.
I know the Dodgers would rather have Ryan.
I think I'd rather have Stone.
Coming off a shoulder injury? Ryan's coming off of TJ.
Yeah, they're both coming off injuries, and I think
shoulder is a heck of a lot more worrisome than elbow.
But Stone has better stuff.
Ryan might have better stuff. Did you see what Ryan did?
I mean,
yeah.
We're splitting hairs, whatever. Okay, sure.
You know what? I had a change of heart. How about we throw Quintero Cleveland's way instead of Freeland? Because Cleveland could counter and say, well, we've got Rocchio and Arias. We like him. So top 50 prospect in baseball and Gavin Stone for Stephen Kwan. I think that's the final version of this.
Okay.
You in?
I could be in on that because they get a starter right away, slot right in the rotation, and they get a guy who slots in as a top 50 prospect in baseball and one of the best in your system.
And that's the kind of deal, and that's some power coming through. Again, 19 homers as a 19-year-old, and that is...
Is that... Again, we're getting this. That might be
too much for Quan. I don't think it's too much for Quan. I really don't. It's 2 years, 2 cheap years. He's amazing. And you're going to have to convince Cleveland to move Quan.
Here's how we rationalize it. Yes, it is an overpay for Stephen Kwan. It absolutely is. And it could be the final puzzle piece to win a third World Series in a row. It is a lot. It is too much. The Guardians are quote unquote winning this trade in the long run. But the Dodgers are trading their 4th best outfield prospect and their 8th starter in the rotation. They can easily rationalize this.
Easily.
But you're right. Cleveland wins this deal and the Dodgers win another World Series.
Yeah.
So,
and you're also taking a risk. This may be too aggressive to say it was a complete shoulder reconstruction for Gavin Stone, but it was a serious shoulder injury and it was a shoulder surgery.
Yeah.
So give me Stone and Quintero for Stephen Kwan. Let's send it in.
Let's virtually shake hands on that one. I like
shake
it.
Hands.
I like how we did that.
That's move one. I promise we're going to speed things up. So Stephen Kwan's an LA Dodger at this point. Where else do you go?
Let's slow it down a little bit. Okay, I have another trade. I want to trade for a reliever. I want to call up the Houston Astros and go get Bryan Abreu. He's a free agent at the end of the season, and the Astros need starting pitching desperately. And I thought, is River Ryan for Bryan Abreu too much? I know it's year 1 of a reliever, but damn it, we're talking about building it for now. Maybe it is too much. But Bryan Abreu is one of the best relievers in baseball. You slot him with Edwin Diaz and Tanner Scott and these boys, like, I mean, my God, postseason ready, as good as anyone. It's a lot. But the
So we
Dodgers are
already
like
moved.
looking at all the glut. I'm looking at all the
Yeah,
glut.
we already moved one starter.
Yeah.
And they have an absurd amount of starting pitching. They do.
Yeah.
But the question is like how many guys are legit good for them? So we're looking at a rotation right now of Yamamoto, Snell, Glasnow, Otani, and Sheehan. Roki is the 6, Sheehan is the 6, Roki is the 5. And then you're looking at guys on the 40-man roster in the minor leagues. River Ryan, Kyle Hurt, Justin Robleski, Gavin Stone, Landon Knack. They're all going to be ready to go for spring training at 26. And then that bullpen, like I understand that you want to add to it because that was a serious problem in 25. But am I the only one that thinks like they have too many relievers right now that are good? Edwin Diaz, Tanner Scott, Vesia, Trinan, Bonda, Gratterall, Will Klein, Kasparius could be a long man. Guys that are not factored into the big league bullpen right now on roster resource. Jack Dreyer, Paul Gervais, Edgardo Enriquez. All of these guys are like good major league caliber relievers. I understand that they dropped like flies each of the last 2 years. I just look at this bullpen and I say there are too many guys to trade for a great one.
Brian Abreu is my Blake Trinan replacement. Blake Trinan should not be trusted anymore. And it's almost your security blanket for Tanner Scott. I think we both expect him to get back to what he once was as one of the best left-handed relievers in baseball.
Yeah.
But it's also a guess. We don't know for sure. The Dodgers are the kings of being able to fix these guys. Exhibit A is Roki Sasaki. Starter failed. We see him crying in the dugout. The low point for him in his career sends him back down to the minor leagues and now is a weapon in the ninth. And now they're getting ready to put him back in the starting rotation. Tanner Scott, he was broken for a little bit and then wasn't even included on these postseason rosters. He might be a guy that we can't truly rely on to be an eighth inning lockdown guy. And then who's your eighth inning lockdown guy behind Edwin Diaz? Is it Vesia? Like they have a lot of good bullpen arms, but they don't have the Night's Watch, right? They don't have elite guys. That's why they felt like they had to go get Edwin Diaz and give him $69 million. And what are you getting? Lights out Brian Abreu. What are you giving up? Your 10th starter. And again, it's a little bit of an overpay. But can you do it? Yes, because you went through all those guys. And also, we know the Dodgers, if they actually run into problems come deadline time, they can go trade for a rental easily and not feel that either, if that's truly a problem. But what they do have going in to the 2026 season is Edwin Diaz and Brian Abreu.
Yeah,
Good
they
luck.
do. And Vesia.
Yeah, they still have good guys, but they don't have that bona fide eighth inning lockdown stud right now. I really don't think so. I agree with you on the bulk. Like, I didn't make any other bullpen additions.
Yeah.
This is the one. And I want him to get a legit guy. I don't want to get a pretty good guy. Like, they could go get Sir Anthony Dominguez right now. But I feel like he falls into this same bucket of a bunch of guys that they have where they all could be pretty good. Or they could get hurt. It's an up in the air type bullpen. But this is your lockdown guy, what Blake Trinan was in the 2024 postseason run.
Yeah.
This is that guy. Brian Abreu is as good as anybody.
Okay, so let's make it happen. So Brian Abreu goes to the Dodgers. I do like Uncle Ted's comment about Ben Kasparius. Kasparius totally fits the mold of what Houston loves doing. Like they just
Could be
went and
that
acquired
too.
Mike Burrows. They gave up Anderson Brito and Jacob Melton for Mike Burrows. Kasparius is that guy. Kasparius is thrown out of the bullpen. He's made spot starts, and Kasparius could stretch out to be a really good 5 and dive guy for the Houston Astros. So
Let's do Ben Kasparius instead of River Ryan.
let's do Ben Kasparius instead of River Ryan, but let's add another lower level prospect to go get Brian Abreu because again, you're going to need to kind of pull him away from what you got going on.
You'd be better in those buckets than me.
Yeah, I'm thinking like who would Houston want? The answer is really anybody.
Probably
There's
more
really
pitching. Probably more pitching.
more pitching. Okay. I mean, you could do. How good was Serwinowski's year? Adam
Should they trade
Serwinowski.
James Tibbs again?
No, they do not trade James Tibbs again.
That was a good
They
comment though from you
absolutely
too. Also, thank you everybody. While Jack thinks about a pitcher to send over to Houston, thank you everybody for listening. The best way to support the Just Baseball Show, make sure you like this video on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and if you are listening on audio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get it, best way to support, rate and review 5 stars and leave a written review.
Okay. Let's go Serwinowski, who they just got back from Cincinnati at the deadline.
Never heard of him. Perfect.
Adam Serwinowski. So Brian Abreu for Ben Kasparius and Adam Serwinowski.
Okay. And the thing is, for the Astros, that makes sense. It's like a guy who he's a reliever. Your bullpen was actually a pretty solid strength last year. You don't necessarily need him to compete.
And you can
need
add
starters.
Right. And I disagree with this sentiment in the
I
comment
agree.
that the Astros only have Hader and Abreu. They have other good relievers there. And why can't they just bring in Seranthony Dominguez? Obviously, you downgrade from Brian Abreu to Seranthony Dominguez, but there are other good pieces there, and Houston needs more help. They need rotation help before they need bullpen help. So you might as well go get that from a guy like Kasparius and a good pitching prospect in Serwinowski. So
I mean,
Brian Abreu for Ben Kasparius and Serwinowski.
Brian King put up a 2.78 ERA in 68 innings for them last
really
year.
good.
Stephen O'Kurt put up a 3.01 ERA in 71 and a third innings last year. When you look at where the Astros bullpen ranked, they were the 8th best by ERA. They were the 2nd best by WHIP. They were 1st in strikeouts per 9, 2nd in hits per 9. That's a bullpen that can trade a guy who is a free agent next year. And I think he slots perfectly into the Dodgers bullpen. And Kasparius can really help the Astros next season too, right? This isn't a prospect that's in low A who you hope to compete one day. This is an MLB-ready pitcher right now who's pitching for the Dodgers in the playoffs.
And you still have an absurd amount of pitching depth here. You haven't really relinquished it.
Nope.
Okay, so our 2 moves, we've acquired Stephen Kwan and Brian Abreu. Let's get less sexy.
Yep.
There are too many lefties in the fold in this bullpen. I'm ready to trade Bonda. Bonda has 2 years of control. He's 32 years old. Let's just move him because I think Dreyer is as good as Bonda at this point. Bonda was really good.
They're in the same bucket.
Anthony Bonda is coming off of back-to-back years with a low 3s ERA. Anthony Bonda, again, is 32 years old, and his last 2 years, 50 innings at a 3.08 ERA, 65 innings at a 3.18 ERA. If they run out Tanner Scott, who you have to because you're contractually obligated at this point, Dreyer, like Robleski, maybe even.
No, I love Robleski.
Yeah,
love Robleski.
You can get rid of Bonda at this point, at least I think. So I've got Bonda to Boston. I think Boston would love to have Bonda. He would be the other lefty in that bullpen with Aroldis Chapman. They've got a lot of good righties. They could use
and
a lefty.
Vesia too.
Vesia. Totally forgot about Vesia. I have it written down. I should consult the notepad more.
Thank you.
I actually do. Thank you. So the lefties that they currently have are Tanner Scott, Vesia, and Dreyer. I don't think you need Bonda anymore. Bonda to Boston. Frankly, I don't think the price is that crazy for him. Intriguing pitching prospect Juan Valera. And I also just kind of want the athleticism of David Hamilton sitting in Oklahoma City. That fan base clearly hates him. Boston will let David Hamilton walk for a PB&J at this point. You might as well get him and a good pitching prospect back for Bonda.
Just made me think, a team who could take on the Christian Campbell money?
Oh, they would not move Campbell at this point.
No, I know. No, I'm just saying, it just made me think of David Hamilton in AAA, and I was thinking about that. But
right.
I like that, adding to the bench. It's not like the Dodgers need Bonda at all. I like the shout for David Hamilton. Would he ever actually log an inning for this team? I get what you're trying to do, because here's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to come up with 5 moves for every team. Dodgers don't need 5 moves.
They don't. They really don't. We could be done right now.
Stephen Kwan and Brian Abreu, and they could call it an offseason. And they already signed Edwin Diaz. This is an excellent offseason. This is a phenomenal offseason. You tell me you get Edwin Diaz, Stephen Kwan, and Brian Abreu, and you're barely spending any money? You have 12 pitchers. You have 100 infielders. You have 80 bullpen guys. What else do you need? And we're not spending all of your money. This is a great offseason already. Now we're just trying to make more moves.
Yeah.
I didn't have anything else written down.
No. So let's just send this in
Yeah.
and let people dunk on us on social media. It's so funny. Every time you put out a move that we make at this point, by the way, this is Juan Valera here. Gross. And he's
Yeah, he is.
far off. Like, this is a pitching prospect that it feels like the Dodgers take on and just absolutely maximize. He's probably outside the top 10 prospects for the Red Sox. And you got to give up a 10 to 15 range prospect for Anthony Banda, who, again, has had 2 good years and has 2 more years of control at a cheap price point. So,
Is that what the Dodgers want to do, though, is trade relievers for prospects?
I mean, you also get like a bench
Yeah.
speed demon here. But again, you have too many at this point. We just got Brian Abreu and Edwin Diaz.
Yeah. And
So,
Stephen Kwan.
yeah, I'm
They
good.
just made 2
So
major trades and a major signing.
I'm sending this one in.
Yeah, I think we're good.
I want a 4th and final one. And I only say this because everybody talks about how rushing is blocked. No doubt about it. Will Smith, Dalton Rushing. Do you know who their 3rd catcher is going into next year? Like, Fadouche is gone at this point. It's Chucky Robinson, who they just signed to a minor league free agent deal. Give me is Jonah Heim going to get a major league deal? I don't think so. Like, could I get Jonah Heim on a minor league free agent deal? He might get one.
I think
Elias Diaz on a minor league free agent deal. I want something so unsexy right now that people are like, what's the point? You just traded for Quan and Abreu. Why are you signing Elias Diaz?
I like it enough to have it on a graphic to have people comment, what are you doing? But I want to make it serious. You have Dalton Rushing and Will Smith. Why are you signing a catcher? Like, I understand the comments because you want, let's say Will Smith were to get injured, which obviously.
And you can pick somebody up. Yeah.
But Dalton Rushing can also play the outfield.
Sure.
Right? So, let's say Teoscar Hernandez continues to struggle or Edmund gets hurt again. I mean, you can move Pajes over and figure out playing time for Rushing. Like, you have to see what you have with Rushing or trade him. And of course, I know all Dodger fans are like, why haven't they created a mock trade for Skubal? I don't think Skubal's going to get traded. And I think the biggest reason is if you're going to give up a monster haul for a rental, you want to immediately sign him to a huge extension. He's a Scott Boras client. Boras wants to see him go out and get 400 plus million in free agency. So I think, why would I give up a huge package for a rental in Skubal when I'm not even assured that he's going to re-sign with me? And that's, I think, the biggest reason Skubal is not getting traded. I think the Tigers would be willing to do it in the right deal, but I think that's the biggest stopgap.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't think Skubal is a Dodger. I really don't this year.
I think Skubal's a Tiger.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
But I really don't see a world where the Dodgers do this for 1 year with the chance of him leaving.
They don't need to. Like, relax, Dodger fans. Relax. We got you such a good team.
4th move is Kevin Biggio on a minor league deal. Send it in. You ready to move on to the Giants?
Yeah, why not?
We're going to play GM for the San Francisco Giants right now. The San Francisco Giants, I'll give you the payroll numbers in a moment. They have an interesting team as it pertains to competing in 2026. Their 2025 tax payroll was 12th in baseball. It was $225 million. They're estimated in 26 is about 197. They're also 12th in baseball on that front. Notable transactions from them this offseason. They declined a $4 million club option on Tom Murphy. They released Sean Jelly and Max Stassi. They non-tendered Joey Lucchese. They DFA'd Andrew Kisner. They avoided arbitration with JT Brubaker. They signed Sam Hentges to a 1-year, $1.4 million contract. They acquired Daniel Susac via trade after he was taken to the Rule 5 draft. A 1-year, $2 million deal for Jason Foley, who is currently hurt. 2 for $22 million for Adrian Hauser, who had a breakout year and a velo uptick in 2025. And then a minor league deal with Gregory Santos. They also DFA'd Joey Weimer and Wade Meckler a couple of days ago. So this is a small market offseason for a team that traded for Rafi Devers
Yep.
last year. And I thought they were going to be the favorite to grab Imai. And Imai is still sitting out there. But they go 2 for 22 for Adrian Hauser. How do you make sense of what they're doing right now?
Well, I listened to what Buster Posey is saying, or at least the reports coming out of San Francisco, that they don't want to sign pitchers to long-term deals. And you see it scattered throughout baseball. A lot of GMs are uttering the same sentiment. They don't want to give out these 7-8 year deals to starting pitchers, which is already a risky investment. And with the impending lockout, maybe they would change their tune in the 2028 offseason if, there are no labor disputes and we're totally fine, right? But I understand teams not wanting to lock themselves in to long-term deals, especially with Tatsuya Imai, who is already a risk in and of itself coming over from the MPB. So I get it. Do I want them to sign a pitcher to a long-term deal? Do I want them to go get Framber Valdez? Do I want them to get Ranger Suarez? Yes. Do I want them to trade for Joe Ryan? Can they? Do they have the system to do it? So I came up with some starting pitching options that I think they can trade for. But I think the biggest one, and the one that I want to start with, I want them to be the team to sign Kyle Tucker. I want Kyle Tucker on this team. Who is their right fielder? Luis Matos. I'm not saying have we seen enough, but can you include him in a trade to go get a pitcher? And this guy, Kyle Tucker, is your guy, right? You've signed Willy Adames. You brought in Rafael Devers. But this lineup, it needs a jolt. I don't know exactly the type of contract that Kyle Tucker would get, but does 10 years, $320 million sound okay to you? $32 million a year. It's $1 million more than what Pete Alonso got over 5 years. He's a freaking awesome player. You compare him. I saw Addison, one of the members of our brilliant Twitter team, and also helps on Instagram and also just runs an awesome Twitter page. He was comparing him to Podcast P. I don't know if you could pull up this tweet where he was comparing Corey Seager to Kyle Tucker when they were both free agents. Obviously, Corey Seager is playing a much more premium position at shortstop, but the offensive numbers are not all that different. Kyle Tucker's a World Series champion. Kyle Tucker is a monster. The discourse surrounding him has just gone too far. He's one of the best players in baseball at 28 years old. I'd give him a huge deal. Of course I would. Yes, he's dealt with injuries before. But when he plays, he's a monster. I know he's had postseason troubles before. I don't think he's automatically afraid of the moment. I think that's dumb. I think some guys in 12-game spurts sometimes don't have great runs. I think he could absolutely be an enormous addition to this Giants team. Enormous.
Do you think they're willing to go 10 years? Because I don't think 320 is going to do it over 10, to be honest with you.
You think he'll get more than that?
He'll get more than that. I think the money is just an egregious point. And I feel like we're at the point of the offseason where we're pivoting to, and this is the shot, if you're with us on YouTube and X, of Kyle Tucker and Corey Seager head-to-head. They're aged 21 through 27 or 28 seasons. Kyle Tucker had that extra year in there. Tucker has played more games, higher slug, higher WRC+, higher WAR on both Baseball Reference and on Fangraphs. Now, Corey Seager is an average defensive shortstop. Tucker is a very good defensive corner outfielder. I feel like we're at the point of the offseason that Tucker is probably pivoting to a ludicrous AAV on a 5-year deal.
But we don't know that for sure.
We don't know it for sure.
And I still think if 10 for 350 is out there.
10 for 350 sounds good.
It's $35 million a year. I mean, this is an incredible free agent. Any team should be happy to give out this type of money. And maybe the Giants don't want to go this far, but with the remaining moves that I want to make, this is your enormous offseason addition. It's not like they have to do a ton else. I will show what I think they should do. But this puts that Giants offense near some of the better in Major League Baseball. We had a couple pitching additions, and we go and we try to compete next year. And you have Kyle Tucker for the foreseeable future, a lineup with Adames and Devers and Tucker, and then Bryce Eldridge will ultimately join the team soon. And when Patrick Bailey isn't hitting, it doesn't matter. We love him for his defense because the rest of the lineup bangs. I mean, look at Kyle Tucker. Look at his savant profile. Peyton's putting it up right here. I mean, what are we talking about? He's an incredible player. I'm sick of all the terrible discourse surrounding him, comparing him to Cody Bellinger. Are you kidding me? I'd way rather have Kyle Tucker. It's not even close.
Yeah.
Do we remember just a year ago, Cody Bellinger was traded for Cody Petite? Straight up. What are we talking about?
With cash attached. Yeah.
I see these Boris comparisons where he's like, yeah, Cody Bellinger is the only 5-tool player out there. Well, what are you talking about? Kyle Tucker is the 5-tool player, not Cody Bellinger. And he's younger. It's not even close. I would way rather have Kyle Tucker. It's not even close.
Yeah, I'm willing to do it. Like, just for the sake of not mocking him to the Blue Jays, I love the idea of 10 for 350 to San Francisco for Kyle Tucker.
Let's do it.
You in?
Kyle Tucker. We signed
10
Kyle
for
Tucker.
350 to Kyle Tucker.
They need an outfielder. They need one.
They do. They really do. Okay. I had them going to get an outfielder as well, not a sexy one. Can I just tell you my Brian Abreu trade to San Francisco? Because San Francisco could use a closer.
Did you feel a little bit sad when I said Brian Abreu to the Dodgers? You're like, damn.
Not really. I was just like, they have too many. But like Brian Abreu is a perfect closer for the Giants if they want to compete in 26, because right now their closer is Ryan Walker. I guarantee you Buster Posey is sitting here saying, damn, if only we had Camilo Doval right now. But they moved him to New York. I think Doval's going to be nasty for the Yanks this year.
I think he is too.
We're not going to do it. We're not going to mock Abreu to the Giants here. Like, we're not going to send it in because we already sent it in for the Dodgers side. But I will tell you, what does Houston need? Houston needs, I think, a reliable center fielder. Jake Myers, they might have felt like they had something. What if I gave you Jung-Hoo Lee for the next 2 years? Jung-Hoo Lee is a pretty damn good player.
No, Brian Abreu. Lee. I still believe in him. I want to keep him.
Of course. Brian Abreu, Zach Cole, Shea Whitcomb for Jung-Hoo Lee and Hayden Birdsong. The Astros were like, we can fix Birdsong. We love that kick change. It's gross and it won't happen, but I just wanted to tell you.
It's one of those trades where I'm not smart enough to analyze it on the fly.
Yeah, fair. I love Zach Cole. I think Zach Cole in San Francisco would be awesome, but you know what? I just wanted to say it because I had it.
I love that you did. I love that you did.
10 for 350 to Kyle Tucker is our first move. Podcast P, you have the 3 headshots. I'm going to have Peter choose his fighter for the San Francisco Giants. Okay. Choose your fighter for the San Francisco Giants.
Wait a minute.
Nico Horner, Ozzie Albies, and Brendan Donovan.
Well, the person I chose for second base isn't one of these headshots.
Really? Who's your headshot?
Well, first of all, why are the Cubs trading Nico Horner? Why are the Braves trading Ozzie Albies?
It's 1 year for $12 million. Atlanta does not need to move Albies. I thought at the right price point, if you get the right return, Atlanta could move Albies because there's a chance that they are souring on him. He was really not good in Atlanta last year.
Yeah, but he's still Ozzie Albies. I'm giving a guy when he gets hurt a little bit of a breather. I mean, this is still one of those second basemen that can hit 30 home runs and hit 40 doubles.
Sure, but he played 99 games and had a 707 OPS in 24, and then he played a whole year in 25. He played 157 games, and he hit 240 with a 670 OPS.
Maybe I'm an Ozzie Albies casual, but I won't give up on him. But I get what you're saying. And now if you're the Braves, now's the time to trade him. I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I totally understand that.
So, my second base option was getting Willie Castro. Cheap. He's a good player.
I thought about it 1 year for 5.5. He was a negative WAR player last year.
Yeah, he wasn't good. But the year before, he was playing at an all-star level. So, again, you're buying low on him, and you have other internal options to plug up that hole. The thing is, the Giants just don't have a good system. And it's like whenever a good player comes across, it's like, well, you have to swap him for Bryce Eldridge. And I think Bryce Eldridge is in the Joe Ryan, Mackenzie Gore type range and not in these ranges.
Yeah.
Yeah, staring at Ozzy Albies is Savant Page is it's disheartening. Because look what he did in 2023. He was so damn good. But yeah, last 2 years he's stunk. Damn it, I don't know what to do with him. I don't know what to do with you, Ozzy, but I know I believe in you. I know I believe in you, and I'm not afraid to say it.
So I'll tell you, I still think because he's only making $7 million this year, and it's a club option at 7 in 2027. I would not fault the Braves whatsoever for holding on to him and seeing if you can maximize your value, or just saying, hey, he's a Brave. We paid him. We gave him the extension. We want to see this extension through. It was Ozzy and Ronald coming up together. But if Buster Posey said, we'll give you Carson Whisenhunt, who's one of their top pitching prospects, it's not a good system, but he's a top 10 prospect consensus in their system. Whisenhunt and Tyler Fitzgerald to help your brutal bench right now.
Yeah.
And in turn, you gave us Ozzy Albies. Like, what do you say? Whisenhunt and Tyler Fitzgerald for Ozzy Albies.
So I like it. I don't think it's quite enough to go to Atlanta.
Yeah.
Because I'm an Ozzy Albies guy. The general market could disagree with me. I could totally see that. Or we include Carson Whisenhunt in a different trade. And then we sign Willie Castro and we go get Chris Bubich from Kansas City. They still need starting pitching. He's 28 years old. He's only got 1 year left. He's going to be a free agent after the end of the season. That's why I think the Royals are comfortable trading him. And that's come through multiple reports that the Royals are listening.
And where's he from?
Is he from San Francisco? I didn't even know that.
Stanford man, Chris Bubich. Stanford man, I think he is from Northern California. He's from Cupertino, which is the Apple headquarters.
I wish I just knew that. That would have made my pitch even better.
There you go.
I didn't know that, and I still want Chris Bubich.
Willie Castro, you think he gets a 2-year deal or a 1-year deal?
1 year deal. You said it yourself.
Okay.
He was a negative WAR player last year. But
1 for 7? 1 for 8?
I wrote down Willie Castro. I did write down 2-year, $18 million.
Oh, let's go 1 for 10.
All right, let's go 1 for 10. Or let's go 2 for 12.
That math doesn't make any sense.
$6 million a year?
I just don't think he says yes to a 2-year, $6 million a year deal. I think he has enough confidence in himself to go,
okay,
play better.
Let's do 1 for 10 then.
1 for 10.
Whatever.
Okay. Bubich.
And
I love the idea of Bubich.
I included Casey Schmidt in the deal with Whisenhunt because Bubich is a monster. He's just got to be able to stay healthy. And Whisenhunt, I think this is Whisenhunt makes sense in Kansas City. They like guys with good changeups. He actually has a similar pitch repertoire to Chris Bubich.
Yeah.
He's just not as good, obviously. Not as good.
Bubich for Whisenhunt and Schmidt. And I like this because if you bring in Willie Castro, then that's already taking ABs away from Schmidt. And Fitzgerald is more of a clear-cut bench bat than Casey Schmidt is.
Right. And Casey Schmidt can defend. So at the very least, the Royals are getting a incredible defender on the infield. Like you pair him with Bobby Witt Jr., there's nothing leaving that middle infield.
Yeah.
Nothing. And you get Carson Whisenhunt. And the Royals have done really well with these lefty changeup guys. So I feel like it makes sense for both sides. Cool. And Carson Whisenhunt can pitch for them tomorrow in their rotation. He's not a 21-year-old prospect in low A.
Yeah.
This guy
the question is he going to be awesome right away? Probably not. But I feel like Kansas City has time at this point.
Exactly. They have time to work with him. And again, Bubich is a free agent at the end of the season.
Yeah. Although he was hurt at the end of the year.
He was.
I don't know if you need to attach Schmidt.
But Bubich
I think you could probably get away with You could probably get away with Christian Koss or Fitzgerald.
Wasn't Bubich an all-star?
He was, but he was also hurt.
I know, but he was. Peyton, pull up his stats from last year.
It was a rotator cuff strain.
I know, but damn it, he was good. I mean, he's pitching to an ERA in like the low 2s through 115 innings. Look at that! Look at all that red.
Yeah, the Savant's great.
Peyton, I don't even want like can we on these highlights, can we post just like his straight up stats? Straight
I'll
up
read
stats.
you the straight up stats for the sake of not having to hunt down the screenshot and the graphic. Chris Bubich last year in Kansas City was an all-star. Bubich last year, 20 starts at a 2.55 ERA and 116 and a third innings.
Damn.
All right, Bubich for Wisenhunt and Schmidt. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So that makes the current rotation Logan Webb, Robbie Ray, Chris Bubich, Adrian Hauser, Landon Roop.
I love it.
You cool with that? I
I'm cool
really
with that.
like that too. The other one that I had written down was, obviously Gore for Eldridge. But if we're moving for Bubich at this point, we don't need to go get Gore for
Exactly.
Eldridge.
And we keep Eldridge. Like,
And we
this
keep Eldridge.
offense is sneaky, not very good. I'm not interested in moving Eldridge for those top end pitchers because we have Webb, we have Ray. Like, now we have Bubich, we have Hauser, we have Roop. This is a good enough rotation where we don't need to give away our best offensive prospect.
Do you want Bubich or do you want Roop as your 5 or your 6?
5. I like
he had a good year. Roop
He's good.
was good this
I'm
year.
totally comfortable with him as my 5.
The only name that I had written down here was Tyler Mahle. Like, I thought that could be a fun fit.
Sure. You can bring him as his 6 and pay him like a couple $1 million. Yeah, I'm fine with
So
that.
Mahle's going to cost more than a couple $1 million. Mahle was good last year. And again, he was hurt, but he was good when he was on the mound. So I was thinking Mahle was going to get around Hauser money, like 2 for 22. But let's look for a guy to bring in as a 6.
Yeah, I mean, you have Kai-Wei Tang as your 6.
I don't like that at all, to be honest with you.
Got a good sweeper.
I don't like it. I'm thinking about a guy that can also plug in your bullpen. Like, what about John Gray? What about bringing John Gray in?
Yeah.
Sure.
Sure.
John Gray on a 1-year deal. How about 1 year for what was John Gray's 25 season like? John Gray, his 2025, 6 relief appearances. They were terrible. Before that, 103 innings at a 4.5 in 24. Probably get 1 for 1.5.
Okay.
I don't know. That's not good.
I don't know.
It's not sexy.
So far, what have we done? We've traded for Chris Bubich, we've signed Willie Castro, and we've signed Kyle Tucker. I think the remaining moves should be in the bullpen if we're making 2 more.
Yeah, I mean, that bullpen is not that great right now. Are they going to be the team that ponies up and pays Fairbanks? They should be.
I mean, I'm totally down to. I also think that you can sign Kirby Yates for a lot less, get him on a bounce back, and also sign Michael Kopech.
I like Kopech. I like that fit.
I'm interested in signing Pete Fairbanks because Pete Fairbanks is really good, but we also did just give Kyle Tucker a lot of money. Yeah. I want to, if we're going to do that, then we're probably going to bargain hunt in the bullpen. And I don't think Pete Fairbanks is a bargain hunt. I think he's going to get paid closer money like he deserves. Like, is it Pierce Johnson? Right? Still good relievers that are available here.
I love Pierce Johnson.
Me too.
I love that fit so many places. That curveball.
Danny Colum as well. Like, you can operate in this bucket and still get good relievers. There are so many available. Like, here, we just posted this yesterday on our Instagram. It was top 10 underrated free agent relievers.
Yeah.
Michael Kopech, Pierce Johnson, Danny Colum, Hunter Harvey, Sean Newcomb, who just signed with the Chicago White Sox on a $4.5 million deal. Good stuff. White Sox. Jacob Webb, Taylor Rogers, Tyler Kinley, Jacob Junis, Justin Wilson. I'm fine with all of them. Why don't we get Michael Kopech and we get Hunter Harvey?
I want Pierce Johnson.
Sure.
I want Pierce Johnson in San Francisco. Pierce Johnson 1 for 5.5.
Probably a little bit more. 7.
1 for 7. Pierce Johnson 1 for 7. And let's go. You want Kopech too?
Yeah, I want Kopech. And what was the deal I wrote down? I wrote down 2 years, $16 million.
You think he commands that with how hurt he's been?
Yeah, but when he's good, he's so good.
Yeah, no, he's untouchable. Michael Kopech, it was a shoulder impingement, then it was a torn meniscus.
But he came back last year and then hurt his knee. So he was good enough to pitch with that shoulder. He just had a knee problem then. So if you're telling me the shoulder was good enough to come back last year, I think he's going to come back healthy. which is why I'm giving it a multi-year deal. And it's, I mean, $8 million per. That's not crazy.
Yeah, 2 for 15, 7.5. Okay,
Sure.
so Kyle Tucker, 10 for 350. Willie Castro, 1 for 10.
Okay.
Chris Bubich, and I just want to make sure that I'm on par here. Their tax payroll was 225 in 25. Their estimated tax payroll in 26 is 197. So it would be escalating their payroll big time.
Yeah.
Which is
damn right.
Okay. Yeah, they were 12th. They can push into the top 10 here.
Yeah, we aren't pushing them above the brink. We're not signing Tucker and Bichette and Fromber.
No,
Like,
we're not even at the luxury tax.
We are escalating our payroll into the top 10 where they deserve to be, and we're signing players that make sense.
Okay. 10 for 350 for Tucker, 1 for 10 for Willie Castro, Chris Bubich for Carson Wisenhunt and Casey Schmidt, Pierce Johnson 1 for 7, Michael Kopech 2 for 15.
Someone said Atlanta had a $7 million team option for Pierce Johnson and he declined it. So maybe he's a little bit more expensive than 7.
No, he would be a little bit cheaper.
Oh, cheaper. Yeah, I misspoke. Yes.
Yeah, so I initially liked 5.5. I think we can do that.
Okay.
Let's do 5.5.
Cool.
1 year, 5.5. So those are our 5 moves. We're going to wrap with everybody's favorite, the Rockies, next.
Can I say one thing? I don't want anyone to leave yet. I don't want anyone to leave because I worked hard on this. I worked harder on the Rockies than I did on the Giants and the Dodgers. You have to stay.
I had
podcast at least hear us out.
I had Podcast P build an absolutely sick graphic. So nasty.
This is going to be the best Rockies coverage on the internet. Rocktober. We tried. I've been going through moves. I did about 3 hours of prep on all this stuff. And I spent half of it on the Rockies. Just going through their whole system. I got things that I want to do.
Okay. Let me run through what they've done transactionally and payroll-wise, what they have right now.
Okay.
The Rockies in 25 were 20th in tax payroll. It was $146.7 million. Their estimated tax payroll in 26 is $111.3. That's 24th in baseball. Recent transactions for them. The biggest one, they hired Paul DePodesta as the president of baseball operations. They hired Josh Burns for the Dodgers as their general manager. Another big one, they removed the interim tag from manager Warren Schaefer. So he went from interim skipper to full-time skipper. Guys coming in, Troy Johnson on a waiver claim, Garrett Acton on a waiver claim. They traded for Brennan Bernardino from the Boston Red Sox. Minor league deals with John Brebbia, Nicky Lopez, Adam Lasky, Iverson Castellano, who was a Rule 5 pick last year. In the Rule 5, they took 6'8", 300-pound right-hander RJ Pettit from the Detroit Tigers, who throws absolute fuel. Of course he does, because he's built like an offensive lineman at the University of Alabama. Guys coming out of the Rockies organization. Tyro Estrada, Kyle Farmer, they both had mutual options declined. Owen Miller was released. Rowansi Contreras was released. He's headed to Asia to pursue those opportunities. Michael Tolio was non-tendered. Ryan Rollison was DFA'd and acquired by Atlanta and then by the White Sox, and then he just got DFA'd today. Warming Bernabel got released. Drew Romo DFA'd and claimed. Same for Anthony Molina. It's been a busy offseason for the Colorado Rockies, but time to cook and make the Rockies a true World Series contender this year. You ready to go?
No, we're not going to make them a true World Series contender, but we are going to make them better in the long term. And I think the spot we have to start is trading some of their better bullpen pieces. Because at the end of the day, if you can get young, controllable hitters or pitchers or starters in exchange for your bullpen guys, you do it. In the 4 years of control that you have Victor Vodnik, are you truly going to compete where he's going to matter? Probably not. The same could be said for Seth Halverson, right? But these are very intriguing bullpen arms that teams should be after. Absolutely. I think Victor Vodnik is one of the best relievers that nobody has ever heard of. First of all, he throws 99 miles an hour. So you already have that. But his changeup, 44% whiff rate last year. Opponents hit 109 against it. Comes in at 92 miles an hour. Negative 15-degree launch angle, which contributed to him having one of the best ground ball rates of any reliever. He has the makings at, how old is he? 26 years old. You bring him to an organization where Vodnik doesn't have to deal with the elevation, but also while dealing with the elevation, put up a 3.02 ERA last year. I love this comment. Victor Vodnik has a super villain name. I agree.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I think he'd be sneaky expensive. I do. I think that the Rockies could get good pieces. The problem with the Rockies is when they've had these guys that have broken out for them, they say, oh, perfect. Now we have our guys in the bullpen when they're not competing. You should be trading these guys now because maybe they don't have it. We've seen Rockies relievers like this before where they burst onto the scene. They have good stuff. Then they kind of falter a little bit because it's so hard to be super consistent at Coors Field. It's already hard enough as a starter. If you have one blow-up inning and the Rockies defense behind you doesn't field, your ERA could balloon. But for somebody else, you could be legit, right? He's a guy who could throw 100 miles an hour with an elite changeup. Get him out of the elevation. I have him going to the Chicago Cubs.
For whom?
Guys who are blocked, but they're good prospects. How many times have we tried to trade James Triantos? 1 million times. Where's he going to play? And Jonathan Long, who raked last year in the upper minors. Where are you going to play him? You have Michael Busch at first. You have Moises Ballesteros as your DH catcher option. Where are you going to play this guy? So again, these are good prospects that the Rockies would be getting in return. Good, solid upper minors offensive pieces that can slot onto your team too soon and finally get some runway out of Coors Field. And the Cubs, I think you could potentially be getting your closer. I'm not trading these guys just to trade these guys. I think Victor Vodnik would do wonders in your bullpen. 100 with a demon change. Cody Ponch is got $30 million for that.
Yeah, no notes. I'm in. Vodnik for James Triantos and Jonathan Long. It's clear that the Cubs have no interest in the James Triantos thing. I guess moving forward, they have too many irons in the fire to give James Triantos an elongated shot in the major league. So, okay, let's do it. Triantos and Johnny Long to Chicago for Victor Vodnik, or to Colorado for Victor Vodnik. I love that.
Number 2, you ready?
Yeah.
Seth Halverson.
That's where I stop you because Colorado is not the type of organization to move both of their guys that they really like in the bullpen.
Well, I'm playing general manager for the Colorado Rockies. But again, I have an entire plan here. We're not just going to not replace those bullpen arms. Just listen to my whole plan.
Sure.
I cooked for too long to just at least go over the full plan. You can tear it apart later.
Cool.
Seth Halverson to the New York Yankees. Now, Seth Halverson is a guy that I think the Yankees would want. The Yankees love these splitter guys, and he's also another arm that throws 100 miles an hour. And because he's not coming off that great of a season, he does have issues. I don't think it's going to cost the Yankees that much prospect capital, but it will be enough of intriguing upside. And I think that lines up perfectly with Roderick Arias. He was the Yankees' top international, free agent signing a long time ago, and he just hasn't really developed. He's continued to slide down prospect rankings. He's been disappointing, but he's still young and he's still a lottery ticket type player. And then you also can throw in a guy like Core Jackson, who was their 5th round pick last year, who's another middle infield prospect. So you're buying in on a lottery ticket and a 5th round pick in exchange for Seth Halverson. I think he could come into the Yankees bullpen, hang out with our guys, Matt Blake. And I think he could turn into a pretty damn solid reliever. And if not, it's not the biggest package in the world. But at the same time, I think there's enough upside there to make it happen.
Okay, keep moving because I have reluctance to move Vodnik and Halverson.
Okay, so the Rockies, they need to find relievers with a specific pitch mix. I'm not going to get into the whole science of it all, but basically, you read a lot of these studies and you want guys who have fastballs, splitters, and sliders. You do. Who are some very cheap relievers who could actually perform at Coors Field? Shelby Miller, fastball, splitter, slider.
Hurt.
Is he just hurt all of
Gonna
next
miss the
year?
year. Yeah.
Well, that's throwing a wrench into it. I didn't know he's hurt. I do all this prep, and I don't even know that he's hurt for all of next year. Ryan
Yes.
Stanek is another one where he's coming off again a down year, but he still throws gas. And you're buying low on a guy who just a few years ago was a really solid reliever and just had problems with the Mets last year. I think he'd be really cheap. He pretty much, that's your Seth Halverson. Ryan Stanek.
But
Just find me
Ryan
another splitter
Stanek is
reliever.
no, I won't find you one on the free agent market. What I will say is I don't think it makes much sense at all for them to go replace Seth Halverson, who has 5 years of control,
I am
with
trading
a Ryan
relievers.
Stanek you would sign a 1-year deal.
I'm trading relievers for valuable position players. I just am with the Rockies. That's what I'm going to do. That's what we need here. We need influxes of these guys. These relievers are great. Maybe they could be good, but at the end of the day, Seth Halverson put up a 5 ERA last year. Like, he's got
Throws
good stuff. We both like him.
102.
I agree. But there's a lot of bullpen guys that throw 100 now. He hasn't proven really anything yet, but he has good stuff. So while he has good stuff, try and cash in on him. These are mistakes that the Rockies have made in the past.
And then you bet that, I guess, Wellington Herrera spawns into that next guy. Like they have so many guys that have a ton of runway, like a Luis Peralta, a Wellington Herrera, who was one of the better relievers in the minor leagues last year, a Zach Agnos, who looked really good for a minute last year, and then kind of fell apart, I guess, for Colorado later. Jimmy Herget, I know they really like. They just traded for Bernardino, Juan Mejia, Pettit, Jaden Hill. There are just so many relievers.
Yeah, they can
But like
trade
Halverson's
these
kind of
guys.
the ninth for them.
But Vodnik could, like, does it matter? Or like, I think Ryan Stanek could be their closer next year for $1 million. Again, this comment, I agree they don't trade both. Yeah, they probably won't trade either of them. And I think that's one of the mistakes that the Rockies have been doing over the years, is they're not trading these guys when they have intrigue. But yeah, sure, go compete with this bullpen next year. Let's win 64 games. Like, what are we talking about?
I think for the sake of this, I do think it's illogical for them to trade both. I think for the sake of this exercise, we trade Vodnik, we don't trade Halverson. You're just upset because you want Halverson in a Yankees uniform.
No comment.
No comment. Okay. I can't say I like the idea of Stanek if you're not moving Halverson, though. Peyton, I think you have the screenshot of the Rocky rotation as it stands right now and the rotation depth. Kyle Freeland, Chase Dollander, Tanner Gordon, Ryan Feltner, McCade Brown, Carson Palmquist, Gabriel Hughes, Bradley Blaylock, Sean Sullivan, all sitting there. Ben Shields, another guy who was acquired for Jake Bird. How many of these guys outside of Freeland and Dollander do you feel really comfortable with pitching for 29 other teams? Any of them?
No.
Palmquist is sexy enough to give another elongated shot to in Colorado. Sean Sullivan is weird enough to give another elongated shot to, or give a first elongated shot to. Feltner was good before he went down, but like Tanner Gordon had an 8 ERA on the road. McCade Brown had a good minor league ascension, and then he got blasted in the big leagues. I want to know what they see in this rotation long term. And I just have no idea who the 5 are. Honestly, on opening day, I have no idea who the 5 are. Is Hughes in the rotation on opening day? I have no clue.
It was so hard to figure out what to do. Because, I mean, you have some of the worst players in baseball here.
Yeah.
Bradley
I don't know. I
Blaylock.
guess you just roll with that as is, and all the depth sits in Albuquerque or Hartford.
We're not signing free agents. That's why I'm like, I looked at this roster, Jack, and I'm like, we have to trade Seth Halverson. We have to trade anyone of value right now who is a reliever. We have to trade all of them. We have to get warm bodies in this team. This team is littered with some of the worst players in baseball. And you say, well, no, we have to keep him. Why? What is Seth Halverson going to do for the Rockies in his years of control? What is he going to do?
Sell tickets.
No.
Right now?
I would venture to say that 80% of Rockies fans don't even know who that is. Because when I go to a Rockies game, the fans are going there to just have fun and drink beers and root on runs in the game. Now, there are some diehard Rockies fans who, of course, know who Seth Halverson is. But the majority of that right now is people looking to have a good time because they see the current roster and they say to themselves, I mean, this team is going to lose 100 games.
Thank you, Podcast P, for flashing the Dolander splits, because in 11 starts at home, he had a 10 ERA. Chase Dolander in 46 innings in Colorado had a 9.98 ERA. In 52 innings on the road, had a 3.46 ERA. This guy was a different beast. So no pitcher will sign there willingly outside of a reliever like Ryan Stanek.
Exactly. So bring in Ryan Stanek. There's your Victor Vodnik replacement, and have Shelby Miller throw with his left arm.
So I'm gonna shut down. I'm actually gonna shut down the Halverson deal, but I'm in on the Ryan Stanek deal. 1 for 1.1, 1 for 1.5.
Give him 1.15. Give him one. No, on the graphic, do 1.156.
1.156. Perfect. We'll do that with deferred money. I have one more move.
Deferring the 6.
I was able to get us to 3. And I have a clear-cut slam dunk fit.
Me too.
You go first because I want my move to be last, because there's no way you say no to it.
I want you on Moncada.
Yes. Yeah. No I'm in. Let's go. Let's do it.
Did we think of the same guy?
No.
Oh, because Kyle Karros?
I understand wanting to give him option. I understand wanting to give him some ABs, but if you bring Moncada in and he's brutal, you just ditch him. It was 1 for 5 last year. He was not good. He was very hurt again with the Angels.
He was kind of good last year with the Angels.
Yeah, but he was hurt.
Sneaky. I know he was hurt, but I think you're not going to spend much on him. He could go to Coors Field and rake, and at least when he's healthy. I mean, Moncada last year, Jack, he wasn't bad. 784 OPS. It's not bad.
Moncada last year got 1 for 5 from the Angels.
I think this year he gets 1 for 6.
Okay. Sign you on Moncada 1 for 6 M's.
Perfect.
Last one for you, so we'll finish with 4 moves.
Okay.
Podcast P, flash the face. 1 year, $1.5 million for Rowdy Tellez.
Sure.
You know he's going to hit a ball 490 feet at course.
And that'll be his only home run.
That might be it. That might be it. But you know what? Like, having that guy in a Rockies uniform in 26 would be cinema.
I'm so disappointed Seth Halverson is not on his way to New York right now.
Sorry about that.
Do you think they shouldn't? Like, I can't believe. What do you mean? What do you mean they shouldn't be trading these relievers?
I don't think they should trade both.
Trade everyone. We need players who can hit. We need starting pitching prospects. Get rid of every reliever that has ever showed any promise right now. The relievers. I'm not trading starters. I'm not saying trade Dolander.
I'm saying trade one of them. Trade one of them that's coming that has 4 years of control. Not trade one that has 4, one that has 5.
I almost said let's trade 3 relievers. I almost said who will take Jimmy Hergen.
The other argument against trading Halverson is Halverson, you mentioned it, like the numbers last year in terms of production were not awesome. Now the underlying were probably better, but it was 39 2/3 at a 4.99, and he walked 5 hitters per 9. So like
not that good of a reliever, but he throws 100.
It's not that good,
he's
but
got the intrigue.
You would not be selling at your peak.
He might stink. What is Seth Halverson?
He throws 102. You gotta let Bobby Smith have a shot.
Okay, so and then what happens when we test out Seth Halverson? What happens?
What happens if he's great? If he's great?
Yeah, what happens if he's great?
Yeah, if he's great, then you move him and you get a way better price than what you're offering right now.
But then Rockies fans would be like, we can't trade him. We need him.
That wouldn't happen.
That's what they do.
New regime, man. This is the DePodesta era. Okay. We've already kept Podcast P sitting in the background for an hour and a half. We've already kept you folks for an hour and a half. Have a great holidays week. Merry Christmas to everybody. What else you got?
Best way to support the Just Baseball show, go get yourself some Just Baseball merch. Shipping fast. If you haven't gotten some Christmas gifts, Hanukkah, whatever holiday you celebrate, gifts are aplenty. Go get your Just Baseball merch. And also, again, if you did enjoy this episode of the Just Baseball Show and you're watching live on YouTube, thank you all for joining. Best way to support. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment on the audio side. Rate and review Spotify, Apple Podcast, 5 stars. It's Christmas. It's the holidays. Leave a 5-star review. It would help us a ton. For Jack McMullen, I'm Peter Apple. I think it's time to say goodbye until after Christmas. And with that, thank you, everybody.